Hello Warriors, it's DeCrans here, and what I plan on doing right now is showing you the next part of this project, and it's how to shade cylinders. So this is the third video. First video kind of just talked about the project. Second video showed you how to draw the cylinders and to use the same curve technique to put like words, labels, decorate them. Now this one is all about shading it. Now typically if you're in school right now, I'd have you guys all go through using colored pencils to draw this. But I realize some of you guys are at home and don't have access to colored pencils, so I'm going to show you 3 ways to do it. One with pencil, one with pen and ink, and the other one with colored pencils. So even if you're not using colored pencil, I still want you to know how to use complementary colors to shade stuff with colored pencil. So let's kind of get started right here. So let's talk about, let's talk about how you would shade with pencil. So I'm going to draw a quick cylinder. Alright, so I have my cylinder right here. And now if I want to shade with pencil, first of all you got to figure out a direction the sun's coming. So, or the light. Say if the light's coming from like this direction, it's going to be dark on this side and light on this side. Whenever for your drawing, you're going to pick a side the light's coming from, and then the opposite side is going to be dark. Then the side where the light's coming is going to be lighter. So now, for flat surfaces, flat surfaces are all the same shade. So this is a flat on the top. You can just like lightly shade it. One shade, and that's it, because it's flat. So flat surface you don't worry about. Anything that's flat, all the same shade. Pretty simple. But now if you have something that's round, it goes from light to dark, or dark to light, and it's gradual, so it's not all one shade. So here you have the light coming this direction, and so to make it darker, what I'm going to do is the opposite direction where the light isn't, is I'm going to darken that up, and then gradually get lighter and lighter as I work my way over. So you can do that. I like to, you can then use your thumb just to kind of push it all over. So it gradually gets from light to dark, or from dark to light, depending on how you're looking at it. And then you'd have on the very bottom, you have your shadow. I'm in the other direction. So pencil, shading light to dark, and that's pretty much it. But now say you want to do it with a pen and ink, which is kind of fun. So if I was to do the same cylinder with pen and ink, start by drawing a quick cylinder. I'll show you guys how to do it. So for pen and ink, you just use a pen. I got a nice Sharpie here. Then after if you're going to do it shade with pen and ink, you would just go around and you would trace over all the lines you drew for your drawing of your cylinders. And then to shade with pen and ink, there's really 2 different methods. The first method is called cross hatching, and that's where you're making like different lines where it's like light might be where it's really light, might just be like some dotted lines. Then it gets a little bit darker. Then it might be vertical and horizontal lines where it gets a little bit darker, and then vertical, horizontal, and diagonal lines where it's really dark. And you add more lines when it's dark, less lines when it's like not dark. Stippling, it's the same type of thing where you have more, it's just dots though, and you have more dots where it's dark and less dots where it's light. So you're either using cross-hatching or using stippling to make it things darker on the dark side and less to keep it lighter on the light side. So here I'm going to start out, and I have the very top of this. I'm just going to go through and keep it very light, so just got all lines going the same direction, because it's light up on the top where the light hits it, and it's all the same shade. So you don't really need to worry about that too much. But then for the sides, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the same curve technique, and I'll make lines solid, and then they'll get to be dotted. Solid, dotted. Solid, dotted. It's going to follow the same parallel curve. And now I'll do some lines going up and down. And the lines will be solid and close together. And get a little further apart. And be dotted. As it gets further apart. And then I could do some diagonal, but I'll do a diagonal curve kind of like this. And I'll have some diagonal lines where it's really dark. You get the idea. So it's like dark, and it gets a little lighter as it gets on one side. And then I could draw the shadow, vertical, horizontal, and diagonal lines, so you got the shadow underneath. So that's how you do pen and ink. And the last method I'm going to show you how to do is to do complementary colors. So now if we were to color this, so I got my cylinder right here, and for complementary colors, is all about like darkening the color up. So to start out with, we need to figure out look at a color wheel. And so the color wheel, you have your primary colors on a color wheel, and you have your red. Next primary color would be yellow. And then you have blue. Now if you mix red and yellow together, you get orange. And if you mix blue and yellow together, you get green. And if you mix blue and red together, you get a violet or a purple. Alright, so the complementary color is the opposite color on the color wheel. So the opposite color from blue is orange. and vice versa. Red is green and vice versa. Purple is yellow and vice versa. So here's how it works. If I was to, like, say, want to like color something red and have it light on one side and dark on the other side, well, here I can use red. I can like lightly push down on this. If I have white, I could like you can use like a little bit of white color pencil to mix in here. But eventually, I want to get darker, so I push down a little harder. And eventually, it's not going to get any darker than this. This is the color of the color pencil, so this is as dark as it's going to get. But now, if I take the opposite color on the color wheel, which is green, and put a little bit of green on top of that red, what happens is it gets to be a nice dark red, and it still stays vibrant. So it doesn't lose its intensity. Like if you add black to it or white to it, it gets dulled out. You know, I'll do a couple more here. So purple, if I add some purple here, here's some like violet purple. You got a light color. You want to get a little darker. And it's not going to get any darker than this. This is as dark as it's going to get. So if I take the opposite color, which is yellow, and mix that yellow on top of that violet, just slightly pushing down on it, it gets to be a really dark purple. I'll do the same thing here. Let's do blue. So you got a light blue. Now the complementary color for blue is a little darker, is orange. So I'm going light to dark. I take a little bit of orange and go right over that blue. And it gets to be a nice dark blue, but still keeps it vibrant. You don't want to, if you add too much white or black to it, it gets all dull, it gets all gray, and loses its intensity. So now for this project, now if I was going to go ahead and draw this color this, I'd like figure out like, you know, a couple different colors. Maybe this is like a lid on here or something. Oh, maybe a couple different colors. So let's say this is green. I have a green top, so it's gonna be light green on the top because the light's hitting it. Then it's gonna be dark green on one side, and eventually get lighter. Towards the other side. Now to make this side where it's dark, really dark, is I'm going to use the opposite color, which is red. And I'll put a little bit of red, very lightly, right on top of the green, and it gets to be a really dark green. Let's do the same thing with, I don't know, purple, why not? So say the bottom maybe is purple. So it's really dark on one side. Progress gets lighter. Now the opposite color for purple is yellow. So I add a little bit of yellow on top of that purple, and it's be a really dark purple. Then I'll give it a shadow. And so that's kind of the idea. So color pencils, the opposite complementary color, the opposite color on the color wheel, we'll get a color really dark. So first project, you're going to wind up shading these. You can use pencil, pen and ink, or color pencil if they have like a light spot and a dark spot going through.